I mean, so I don't. I guess I don't really resonate with that argument that much. I get it, and I get it's better to watch. And you think in your head, you're like, oh, all that's missing is this one little tweak. We come up with a list of players that we think are our most talented, right? And if they don't deliver, we come up with a list of 4 or 5 excuses around and contextual clues as to why they're not producing. But when some other players come on who we judge to be less talented and they actually do deliver some of the goods, then it's circumstances that gave them the goods. It's circumstances that elevated their play. It's not actually them. I don't think there's anything Joseph could do that would take him out of your starting lineup for you. And for me, I'm thinking he's a young player. Brownie talked about this as well. You don't want to lean all the pressure on this player all season because of his youth and inexperience. That said, he deserves a lot of time in the team. If you want to make your case, especially if your counterpart is slumping, come on and score a goal. What I'm concerned about is what he's showing is a low or a relatively poor chances to goals ratio. And that's not something you want as a reputation for a young player. You want to get on the pitch, and as soon as you're given an opportunity, you grab it by the throat. I haven't quite seen that from him, and I haven't seen it from Nanto either. I mean, again, this is a guy people are talking about as one of the best players in the championship. Sorry, great players play great.
But
great this season.
In pre-season, Joseph started every single game, right? And he built into it. And don't get me wrong, he hit the ground running, and his finishing was
love your pre-season.
Yeah, but his finishing was actually very good, and you actually thought to yourself against that. So Valencia, the likes of the 2 German clubs who played, Schalke's one, I can't remember the other one was, but you thought, flipping heck, these are very good. And what he was getting throughout those games, Gabe, he was getting constant chances, and he put one away, and he missed. I think he missed a couple against Schalke. You're going to get that with young players,
but do you not think at all that maybe that's because the defending's different in a preseason game, and realistically, there's not a lot of pressure? Do you not think that maybe that plays into it?
Well, maybe, yeah, but I guess when you're looking at some of the, and there's a lot that we can analyze when it comes to pre-season, but the standard of defender when you're looking at a Valencia standard goal defender in comparison to a Bristol City standard defender is probably, the trajectory is a little bit higher, isn't it? The standard, but yeah, there might not be that.
In a competitive match, in a preseason, I've seen Landon Donovan score a brace for Bayern Munich in a preseason match. He's not a Bayern Munich player.
But I think the whole point is, Gabe, like, I don't understand, and I get Peru came on against Sunderland, started the game, scored, right? Okay, but that was such a symptomatic game of Peru. He scored a goal, and then he didn't do anything for the remainder of the game. He didn't do
but Conor, how many goals on average do teams in the championship score? How many goals do Leeds average? The Leeds average in and around 2 goals a game, right? So if you come in and score a goal and don't do anything, you've done half the job that your team needs to do by yourself. Like the whole point of a striker is to score goals. So if you do all this great work, and I agree with you, I think Joseph's off the ball work. I do think Pirro gets a little bit unfairly dug out for some of his work, but I think most of what you think is significantly better is where the positions he takes up and the runs he makes and the activity he stimulates in a center back. Fine, I actually fully agree with that, but all that is to score a goal. Like the whole reason you have the buildup, the whole reason you do all this stuff on the football pitch is to score a goal. If you don't score a goal at the end of those sequences, then what the hell's the point of playing a striker that does all those things? You would rather have a guy that maybe doesn't do those things as well, but you come away with a goal because they're so hard to score in this sport. You know what I mean? So I guess I don't really resonate with that argument that much. I get it, and I get it's better to watch, and you think in your head, you're like, oh, all that's missing is this one little tweak. But it's a big tweak, Conor, a big tweak to score goals. Like that's a big thing to change. So I think until he proves that he can do it with limited opportunities, Farke's going to continue to go with Pirro because Pirro's a streaky player. He's going to be up and down.
But and I understand that. I completely get that. But obviously Sheffield United, he got his goal, didn't they? Which was a fantastic finish, and it took the game away from.
Who gave him the pass though?
Yeah, but when they both play together, statistically, they play better together than apart. But we never see them together because Brendan Aronson gets minutes all the time. So it is one of those where Matteo Joseph, mate, in his last 4 games has played about 50 minutes collectively.
Yeah,
he's not playing a lot of minutes. So when you get an 11 minutes, 13 minutes, 15 minutes, it's like, well, he comes on, he creates a spark, but if Leeds aren't creating enough chances for him, maybe because of game state or whatever it's been, it's very difficult to judge him. And you get,
I think if you're honest though, if you're Matteo Joseph and you come on in that game and you get that ball unplayed to your head and you miss, you're coming away from the game saying, man, I have to start banking my opportunities, or I'm
Yeah,
not going to get these
no,
opportunities.
yeah, and I understand that, but let's not like, this is a kid who has come in, and I said this at the start of the campaign. Like, I think just the slack that was given, even with Archie. Archie had some phenomenal games for Leeds United, but he had big dips last season as well, big dips.
Yeah. Well, he played there because we didn't have anybody else.
Yeah, and a lot of what I'm saying is like a lot of the fan base did stick by him. I'm seeing a split all of a sudden. I'm going on Twitter and seeing Joseph's a shit football player.
He's not.
And I look at his game.
I'm not having that either.
But I look at his games overall, and don't get me wrong, Peru's goal wise, I think he's our top scorer now with 4. But still, in 12 appearances, Joseph has got 6 goal contributions. So yeah, it's not amazing. Don't get me wrong, but how people are talking is as if Joseph's doing nothing whatsoever. And I just think the contribution overall, I think it has been good from him, and I just want to see him get 6 starts, Gabe. Give him 6 starts. Go back to the old thing that we're doing where Perot was coming on with 20 minutes to go and affecting games. Perot's now not scored in 3 or 4 games, and I don't know if he's been really apparent for those 3 or 4 games either. So it's obviously aside from sliding Joseph in for his goal against Sheffield United, but overall contribution wise, I don't know. And you look at the weekend's game. He's just, I just think the likes of Tanaka and the likes of Rothwell will suffer overall because the immobility of someone like Joel Peru. I just think that is how it will be for the remainder of the season. I
think you're caught between 2 extremes. I think you feel we're getting into psychology now, but I feel like you think you have this instinct to counterbalance bad arguments about Joseph. And to be honest, I'm not interested in engaging with those. Anybody that says Joseph's a bad footballer is a moron. They don't watch the games. They don't know anything about football. Like I'll say that. I don't care what nationality you are. But for me, I want our young players, our young talented ones, to earn it. I want them to have a mentality that when I get my opportunity, I need to do better than the veteran, higher producing guy in front of me. And I think one of the issues that Willie Nanto has is he's crowned as one of the best players in the championship without actually having to do it. Like Somerville, I'll have that argument all day with someone because last year he was the best player of the championship, statistically and on the pitch. It was clear. Ramazani so far has been our best player, not in small part because of his goal production. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah. But we can talk about goal production. But you've outwardly said that you would rather start Joseph over Peru, and Peru's got more goals than Joseph.
But no, it depends on what game. I don't necessarily think that's true. I would rather go with Peru. Now, with Peru, I've said that this is kind of what my position's been. When Peru goes cold, you go Joseph, and I think that means now you do start Joseph, right? But I don't think it's good for Joseph to be given the keys to the kingdom. Because where do you go? I think young players need high standards, and if you're sort of rewarding but like the mentality of if we give him enough chances, then he's going to come good, versus another guy who's actually putting in the back of the net. There's no argument of if we give him enough chances, this other stuff will improve. You see what I'm saying? I just think there's a weird thing we do with some of our talismanic players, and we almost want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think I'm not with any of those guys. I'm not with digging them out and saying they're poor footballers. That's nonsense. They're great footballers. I think you want to have high standards for them. For me, Joseph should be earning every minute of the pitch.
Yeah, and I get that, but can you not just you can see the overall package of someone like Joseph, and you can see it's subjective, obviously, but you can see the overall package of Peru. Peru was taken out last season for Patrick Bamford because he wasn't offering the things that Joseph is offering now when he's on the pitch. I don't understand why this is suddenly reversed. I mean, Peru, it's not if he's getting goal after goal after goal after goal, if he's a goal machine, he scored 1 goal in 5 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You bench him now because he's cold. But when he was on a hot streak, he absolutely belonged in the starting 11. I don't think he would have played him.
The hot streak was on the bench. The hot streak was when he was coming on for 25 minutes and scoring at the end.
He scored some goals when he was starting, Conor.
Yeah, I know, but like you look at Portsmouth, he was on for 18 minutes, got an assist. Hull, he was on for 16 minutes, scored a goal. Cardiff, he was on for 6 minutes, scored a goal. Coventry was on for 20 minutes, scored a goal. Like a lot of the production for Peru has been when he's come off the bench.
Do you think that earns him a start or not?
No, I think it's a tried and tested method. Peru, the problem is, Gabe, what we're getting ourselves into right now is if we're doing this right, if Peru's coming off, let's say hypothetically, now if he stops starting against Plymouth and that goes forward, you're then taking Peru out. So then if Joseph comes back in for 3 or 4 games and maybe gets, I don't know, a goal and an assist or whatever, but he's played okay, he comes back in. Then maybe Daniel Farke, but then Peru scores off the bench. Then Peru starts the 5th game. And you think, well, but if you're chopping and changing consistently, then the likes of Joseph, who is a young player, cannot get consistently into this season. Really, it's not going to happen for him. I think you've just got to stick with him. Pay a bit. So
you're essentially saying you're saying this. You should roll with this guy because I think he's capable, and we'll give him a chance to prove it versus proving it in limited window.
Yeah, because I don't think we've had this conversation. Peru, I think, from what we've seen when he's come off the bench, he's a snapshot finisher, right? Mm-hmm. I think when the opposition are tired, I think that is where Peru sort of prospers a little bit. Now, there's a conversation to put them both on together because they're good together, but we know we won't see that.
Right.
The opposite side to that, Gabe, is when Joseph comes on, for me, he needs a few chances to put the ball in the back of the net, but the overall pie, he's a better overall striker, in my opinion, than Peru. So you might as well bring Joel on toward the back end of the game. And that's proof in the pudding earlier on this season anyway, where that's where Peru's got the most production so far this season. So if you're turning around to me, right, and we have a striker in Joel Peru who scored 4 goals in 5 games, but I think Joseph is a better overall striker, I can't say anything. I've got no argument. But it's not like Peru's lighting it up, mate, and we're going through this thing again with him in the last sort of 4 or 5 games where we're seeing what we saw last season again. So it's a difficult one, mate. It's a really difficult
for me. It's a 3-game span where he's not been particularly good. Now that's enough for me to want to go start with Joseph, but I also think when you want to protect a young player, you're thinking about going away to Bristol, who aren't going to let you play a lot. Is that going to be a good game to play?